The 2024 blockbuster crime film Goldfinger, starring two Hong Kong film legends, Tony Leung and Andy Lau, officially debuts. This film is adapted from real events, recreating the colorful life and legend of Chen Yiyan, the mastermind behind the Carrion scandal. According to rumors, the forces behind Chen Yiyan, who defrauded hundreds of billions of Hong Kong dollars, were actually state-level powers. Without further ado, let's dive into analyzing today's film and revisit that historical story. The story begins in 1980s Hong Kong. When Hong Kong was experiencing economic reform and opening up, many businessmen flocked there seeking opportunities. Our protagonist Chen Yiyan was one of them. He originally ran a construction business in Southeast Asia, but then went bankrupt with mounting debts. By chance, he discovered the British government was purchasing large quantities of steel and cement, shipping them to Hong Kong. Chen Yiyan realized Hong Kong was about to experience major development, so he came here seeking his fortune. Initially, Chen Yiyan faced many difficulties with no connections and no money, couldn't even find a job. However, luck smiled on him when he met his benefactor in life. People say starting from scratch with empty hands, you can only soar high with a benefactor's support. That day, while job hunting, Chen Yiyan met Tan Jianxiao, a fellow countryman from Minnan. He was the youngest son of a wealthy real estate family, the Tan family, in Hong Kong. Recently, Tan Jianxiao faced a difficult problem. His family had 24 suburban villas that needed urgent sale. A local tycoon named Zhong Ka agreed to buy them, but only offered $300,000. Zhong Ka deliberately lowballed, knowing no one else wanted to buy these villas. To drive up the price, Tan Jianxiao asked Chen Yiyan to pretend to be a Minnan boss named Ha Ka to bid up the price. Chen Yiyan was quick-witted and clever. His acting was very convincing. He deliberately bid up to $900,000 in front of Zhong Ka, who knew Zhong Ka would immediately turn and leave. Tan Jianxiao was disappointed. After that, Tan Jianxiao had his son drive Chen Yiyan home and gave him $10. On the way back, Chen Yiyan noticed Zhong Ka's convoy following them. He realized this was Zhong Ka testing him. Chen Yiyan immediately told Tan Jianxiao Santo take him to Hong Kong's biggest hotel. Chen Yiyan played his first role perfectly, finding the best seat, then took the $10 from Tan Jianxiao and tipped it to the waiter. Seeing this, Zhong Ka believed him and proactively introduced himself to Chen Yiyan. Zhong Ka wanted to know why Chen Yiyan would pay $900,000 for those villas, since they had no water, no electricity, no roads, basically worthless. Chen Yiyan cleverly said was targeting the land itself. Zhong Ka read between the lines, wondering if the government would soon reclaim it or build a power plant to this question. Chen Yiyan only smiled without answering. Zhong Ka saw the hint and wanted to partner with Chen Yiyan. He wanted to buy the villas himself, then resell them to Chen Yiyan for $700,000, saving him $300,000. Of course, Chen Yiyan didn't need to worry about how much Zhong Ka paid to buy them. Chen Yiyan saw Zhong Ka had taken the bite, so he acted reluctant, but eventually agreed. Zhong Ka immediately got excited and finally bought the villas from Tan Jianxiao for $400,000. Then he excitedly went to Minnan to find Ha Ka, only to discover the real Ha Ka was a black man. Zhong Ka got beaten up badly and spent half a year in the hospital recovering. Only then did Zhong Ka realize he had fallen into Chen Yiyan's trap. Through this incident, Chen Yiyan latched onto Tan Jianxiao's coattails and his wheel of fortune began to turn. By 1975, Tan Jianxiao established his own business. Chen Yiyan chose to follow him, becoming his capable right-hand man. With his keen observation skills, Chen Yiyan helped Tan Jianxiao invest in Hong Kong, earning his first million in life and gaining Tan Jianxiao's absolute trust. Chen Yiyan's ambitions also began to grow. He even set his sights on Hong Kong's most expensive commercial building, Kam Sin Plaza. The origin of Kam Sin Plaza also has a story. 15 years prior, Kam Sin Construction had purchased that land from a British man and built Kam Sin Plaza. This made the British man lose face. Later, Kam Sin Construction wanted to go public but was defrauded by a securities company of a large sum of money. When Kam Sin Construction was short on cash, the British man bought Kam Sin Plaza from them. The whole process seemed legal, but in reality, it was a trap set by the British man. They were behind the schemes that prevented Kam Sin Construction from going public. Hearing Tan Jianxiao tell this story, Chen Yiyan couldn't help but marvel. To acquire this building, they had used so many schemes. However, Chen Yiyan learned a lot from this story. In the following period, Chen Yiyan followed Tan Jianxiao, attending events and parties, working hard to expand his social network. However, when his own capabilities weren't sufficient, no one took him seriously. So the business cards Chen Yiyan handed out eventually ended up on the floor. Chen Yiyan vowed to make a name in Hong Kong and establish his own position. The opportunity quickly came that same year. The Tan family's business in America faced difficulties. Tan Jianxiao was sent by the family to America for support. Before leaving, Tan Jianxiao gave Chen Yiyan $200,000. He planned to use this money as startup capital. Chen Yiyan began his business journey. He started establishing his company and recruiting employees. During this time, Chen Yiyan met a woman named Jiawan, an accountant whom Chen Yiyan valued highly, making her his personal assistant. At the same time, he took the two characters from Jiawan to name his company. Thus, Jiawan Investment Company was officially established. In the following period, Chen Yiyan expanded into various industries in Hong Kong. Within just a few months, Chen Yiyan's companies were everywhere, from real estate investment to entertainment and film. Finally, even tourism and transportation had his presence. Jiawan was always by Chen Yiyan's side, serving as the public face of the company. From the outside looking in, Jiawan appeared to be running the company. After the company was registered, Chen Yiyan targeted making money through stock speculation. He approached Zhong Ka. Chen Yiyan heard Zhong Ka's real estate company Sunying was selling shares. Chen Yiyan planned to use $100 million to buy shares. However, Zhong Ka was still bitter about the previous incident and rejected Chen Yiyan's acquisition plan. But Chen Yiyan had learned that last year the government had bought those villas for $800,000. Zhong Ka netted a profit of $400,000. That's why Chen Yiyan dared to approach Zhong Ka. Just then, the man behind Zhong Ka suddenly spoke up, asking Chen Yiyan how much he was willing to pay. Chen Yiyan asked about this man's identity and learned his nickname was Gu Wangchong, and also Zhong Ka's professional stock trader. Zhong Ka told Chen Yiyan if he wanted to buy Sunyang, he had to ask Gu Wangchong. Chen Yiyan said yesterday Sunyang's stock price was $1.25 per share. He planned to buy at $2.50, purchasing a total of 50% shares. Gu Wangchong outwardly agreed, but the next day he played tricks. He used his capability to continuously drive up Sunyang's stock price from just over $1 initially to $2.80. Seeing the upward trend, investors began rushing in to buy Sunyang's stock. The stock price began soaring to $4. Seeing this, Chen Yiyan realized it was Gu Wangchong's doing and called his subordinates to buy Sunyang's stock, regardless of the current price. However, right after Chen Yiyan finished buying the stock, Sunyang's stock price began to collapse from over $4 down to just $1. Chen Yiyan suffered heavy losses this time. However, from this, Chen Yiyan also realized Gu Wangchong truly had skill, so he wanted to recruit him. Initially, Chen Yiyan tried to buy Gu Wangchong with money, but he wasn't moved at all. Seeing this, Chen Yiyan thought of using a honey trap. He put Jiawan forward. Sure enough, even knowing it was a honey trap, Gu Wangchong still fell for Jiawan's beauty. Just like that, Chen Yiyan recruited Gu Wangchong. Gu Wangchong wanted to know how high Chen Yiyan wanted to push the stock price, $500 million or $1 billion. Chen Yiyan said as much as wanted, as much as they had, print as much as they wanted. Just like Americans printing dollars. Chen Yiyan boasted would buy all of Cam San Plaza to elevate his reputation and continue to drive up his company's stock price. However, Gu Wangchong told Chen Yiyan Cam San Plaza was the British's pride. How could they possibly sell it? Chen Yiyan didn't think so. Just then, Zhong Ka brought 3 British men to Chen Yiyan's office. Gu Wangchong tensed up seeing Zhong Ka. But Zhong Ka didn't blame Gu Wangchong for joining Chen Yiyan. On the contrary, was now on Chen Yiyan's side too. The 3 men Zhong Ka brought were the investment director, financial director, and real estate investment director of the British bank. Chen Yiyan had poached them and learned a lot of inside information. The British bank needed cash, so Cam San Plaza wasn't that valuable. Chen Yiyan's idea to buy it wasn't unrealistic. Then Jiawan, as the company representative, spread the word outside that they would acquire Cam San Plaza for 600 million Hong Kong dollars. But before Cam San Plaza could be bought, news came that another buyer wanted to use $1 billion in cash to buy it from Chen Yiyan. As soon as this news broke, Jiawan Company's stock immediately doubled. So Chen Yiyan only used $1 billion in cash to buy Cam San Plaza, paying the rest with stock. With this move, Chen Yiyan made $1 billion in cash. As Jiawan Company's reputation grew, their stock also became very valuable. Many people chose to buy their stock, and the price soared accordingly. Unexpectedly, an incident occurred. The buyer who wanted to use $1 billion to buy Cam San Plaza didn't actually exist. This was just Chen Yiyan's scheme to drive up the stock price. But Gu Wangchong wouldn't accept this. If this matter got exposed, not only would the company's stock plummet, but he, as the market manipulator, would be completely ruined. Chen Yiyan told Gu Wangchong to wait a few more days. He would definitely find a buyer to take over Cam San Plaza. Heaven leaves a way out. Just then, Tan Jianxiao returned from America. Chen Yiyan immediately saw hope. He pulled Tan Jianxiao into the business venture. Chen Yiyan brought Chen Yiyan into high society, introducing him to the young masters of 5 major families. Chen Yiyan wanted to borrow their reputation to push Jia when companies stock higher. Moreover, among them, Chen Yiyan especially valued young master He, the eldest son of Hong Kong's largest Chinese bank. To entertain these young masters, Chen Yiyan created a room with beautiful women and antiques, successfully winning them over and getting them to invest money in Jiao and Company. Of course, their money was only used to drive up the stock price. Gu Wangchong would immediately spread the news that the 5 major families invested in Jia when Company pushed the stock price up. However, someone didn't believe in Chen Yiyan's actual strength, suspecting the investment money would be lost. Chen Yiyan called his subordinate to bring a pile of cash to demonstrate his strength. In this situation, he successfully convinced the young masters of the 5 major families. Just like that, Jiao and Company's stock began to soar, from $5 to $9, finally exceeding $10. During this time, Chen Yiyan approached young master He, hoping to use his reputation to spread the word that he wanted to buy Camsan Plaza. Chen Yiyan only targeted young master He's Namito drive up the price, while young master He didn't need to spend a dime. When the time came, Chen Yiyan would find another buyer to take over. Young master He could earn 30% profit from this transaction. Young master He was quickly persuaded. News that young master He spent 1.68 billion Hong Kong dollars to buy Camsan Plaza spread. The whole market immediately buzzed with excitement. Jiao and Company's stock price began soaring again. Almost every investor bought Jiao and Company stock. Its price also rose from over $10 to $20. Now Jiao and stock was even more valuable than cash. There were rumors its price would rise to $30. Almost overnight, Chen Yiyan's asset value skyrocketed to hundreds of billions, pursued by everyone. With money, Chen Yiyan began shopping. His shopping method differed from ordinary people. Chen Yiyan immediately spent HK $1.2 billion to buy the British shipping company Century, then used 1.3 billion Hong Kong dollars to buy American insurance group Android, Italian real estate company, International Oil Company. Even Japan's largest film company was acquired by Chen Yiyan. Besides companies, Chen Yiyan also bought major hotels in Hong Kong. In less than half a year, Chen Yiyan had transformed Jia when Company into a multinational conglomerate with assets over 100 billion. Its market value reached an astonishing over 200 billion Hong Kong dollars. After growing so powerful, the whole world wanted to partner with Chen Yiyan. Major international banks proactively sought Chen Yiyan to discuss cooperation. Even the vice president of Britain's HSBC Bank approached Chen Yiyan, proactively offering to loan Jia when Company 1.68 billion Hong Kong dollars. But no matter how glorious Chen Yiyan seemed now, insiders understood all of Jia and Company was an illusion. Chen Yiyan's actions to a certain extent constituted economic fraud. Moreover, the company now owed over 10 billion. Jia and Company's collapse was only a matter of time. Tan Jianxiao realized this and wanted to get 800,000 Hong Kong dollars in cash from Chen Yiyan. Chen Yiyan wanted to give Tan Jianxiao stock, but Tan Jianxiao refused. He only wanted cash. Seeing Tan Jianxiao's attitude, Chen Yiyan reluctantly agreed. Just then, young master He suddenly burst in. Initially, Chen Yiyan said would find someone to take over Camsan Plaza, but until now there had been no movement. Moreover, young master He had helped Jiao and Company push up the stock price, but now was being abandoned. The young master was calm. He had already thought of a countermeasure. Chen Yiyan found his trusted lawyer to help young master He create a fake check. As long as young master He signed, the transaction was complete. But young master He knew this action constituted a fraudulent transaction. Young master He took the risk doing this, wanting to receive payment upfront from Chen Yiyan. Chen Yiyan agreed. However, the weather has sun and rain. People have good and bad luck. The time came to 1982. When a major event occurred in Hong Kong, China and Britain began negotiations leading to Hong Kong's instability. The economy began to decline. Chen Yiyan's company's stock began plummeting uncontrollably, from $20 down to $10. Finally, only $2. Moreover, the Hong Kong dollar also began depreciating rapidly. Jiao and Company's debt situation was completely exposed because Chen Yiyan had borrowed entirely from banks. In this situation, no bank was willing to loan Jia when money anymore before long. The ICAC also set their sights on Chen Yiyan. Inspector Dehua was in charge of thoroughly investigating the problems with Jia when Company Tan Jianxiao wanted to flee with the money. He forced Chen Yiyan to call his backer to demand the money. Previously, there were rumors that when Chen Yiyan first started his business, the reason he had so much money to establish the company was entirely because he had a backer. As for who that backer was, no one knew. Seeing the situation, Chen Yiyan had to agree. That evening, Chen Yiyan took Tan Jianxiao to meet the so-called backer. From the voice, this person seemed to be Southeast Asian. The backer only offered 500,000 US dollars. This was the final amount. Tan Jianxiao took the money and got in the car, while Chen Yiyan stayed at the scene. Not long after, Chen Yiyan got in the car. Tan Jianxiao turned around and found him covered in blood. Tan Jianxiao realized something and hurriedly drove away. Later, Tan Jianxiao tried to flee with the money. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape. It looked like he was silenced. The money was also taken. Whether it was Chen Yiyan's doing remains unclear for now. Chen Yiyan summoned everyone to handle the next inspection by the ICAC. He had lawyers prepare testimonies for everyone. Before long, Zhao Wen, Zhong Ka, Gu Wangchong, and others were arrested by the ICAC. In the interrogation room, they dodged and refused to say anything. With no choice, Dehua arrested Chen Yiyan. This person was even more cunning. Upon arriving at the ICAC, he fainted on the spot and was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. Later, the doctor found Chen Yiyan only had low blood sugar, but he remained unconscious for 2 days. When Chen Yiyan woke up, thinking the interrogation time had passed, he prepared to go home with his lawyer. But Dehua forcibly stopped him. Chen Yiyan had investigated Dehua's situation beforehand, knowing he had a daughter about to study abroad in America, and his son had just been born. Chen Yiyan tried to bribe Dehua with money, but this man wouldn't budge, even provocatively asking Chen Yiyan questions. Chen Yiyan recognized Dehua's tactic and was extremely angry. Dehua had found over 10 accountants to audit Jia when company's books. Chen Yiyan knew he ultimately couldn't hide anymore. Seeing this, Chen Yiyan decided to take action, sending people to deal with Dehua. That evening, Dehua and his family went to a shopping center for dinner. Just as they parked, a black car rammed them from behind. Dehua reacted quickly, avoiding a fatal hit, but the car flipped over. The black car tried to ram them again. Fortunately, Dehua's colleagues arrived in time and chased the black car away. Dehua ran to the car to check on his family. Luckily, they weren't seriously injured. Then Dehua took them to the hospital for treatment. Chen Yiyan pretended to visit, making Dehua not only angry, but Dehua's wife also ran out and slapped Chen Yiyan, at the same time telling Dehua he didn't put Chen Yiyan in jail not to come home. With his family's support, Dehua was full of determination. Just then, police arrived at the hospital with an arrest warrant taking Chen Yiyan for investigation. Police suspected Chen Yiyan was involved in a murder case. The victim was named Wen from Dehua, who had been in Hong Kong for 1 year. He worked as deputy director at a finance company named Haigua. Of course, this company also belonged to Chen Yiyan. After Wen died, police found in his room over 50 boxes of confidential documents from Zhao and Company. Through investigation, police discovered Wen's true identity was actually a spy sent by Dongma's Interior Ministry. He came to Hong Kong to investigate transactions between Zhao and Company and Haigua Finance 1 week before his death, and Wen had stopped a $100 million loan between Haigua and Zhao Wen. Dehua looked into this Haigua company and found its registered capital was only $100,000. How could it lend out $100 million? Subordinates reported that behind this Haigua company was Dongma's National Bank, with unlimited funds. Over 25 years prior, Dongma discovered oil in their country, becoming an oil-exporting nation, earning hundreds of billions of US dollars annually. Later, the government established National Bank and began investing worldwide. In 1978, National Bank also sent people to Hong Kong. This person was named Ha-Fa. Coincidentally, Ha-Fa is a minor shareholder in some of Chen Yiyan's companies. From this, it's not hard to see Chen Yiyan's startup capital actually came from Ha-Fa. And to support Chen Yiyan, Ha-Fa began continuously embezzling funds. Later, the amounts grew larger. The Dongma government sent Wen to Hong Kong to investigate. He may have held evidence, so he was silenced by Chen Yiyan. Before long, the killer who murdered Wen was also arrested. Facing police interrogation, the killer admitted he was hired by Chen Yiyan. However, the killer's quick confession seemed problematic, as if someone deliberately framed Chen Yiyan. Logically speaking, if Chen Yiyan hired a killer, he would definitely find a smart, skilled assassin. Absolutely not some thug like this. Just then, the killer suddenly changed his testimony, denying he was hired by Chen Yiyan to kill. Since the evidence was insufficient, Chen Yiyan was temporarily released. Upon release, Chen Yiyan immediately brought his lawyer to the ICAC. He was willing to cooperate with Dehua, but demanded he release his friends first, namely Gu Wangchong and others. Dehua agreed. However, this decision made everything more complicated. As for Chen Yiyan's so-called cooperation, it was using silence to deal with Dehua. When they mentioned Ha-Fa, Chen Yiyan remained silent. Chen Yiyan told Dehua couldn't go to prison. Dehua only saw Hong Kong investors lose 20 billion Hong Kong dollars, but didn't see the thousands of billions in bad debts abroad. That money belonged to state-level financiers. If Chen Yiyan went to prison, who would shoulder these debts? Someone hired a killer to frame Chen Yiyan, to make him bear all the guilt. Unfortunately, their intentions were too simple. As for Gu Wanchong and others, shortly after leaving the ICAC, they were each silenced, with no survivors. It seems someone was helping Chen Yiyan clean up obstacles. Who these people were remains unclear for now. Actually, for Chen Yiyan, at his level, he couldn't even see the shadows off these financiers. Frankly speaking, Chen Yiyan was just a pawn used and then discarded. Chen Yiyan knew Dehua had enough evidence to prosecute him, but did Dehua ever consider? In the current grand play, Dehua was also just a minor character. While the essence of this play was manipulated by major figures before long, Tan Jinxiao's son came to the ICAC confess, declaring the bribery of officials and economic fraud was all his doing alone, having nothing to do with Chen Yiyan. In this situation, Dehua was helpless. He didn't want to let Chen Yiyan go. But even the judge proactively sided with Chen Yiyan, pushing all the guilt onto Tan Jinxiao's son, declaring Chen Yiyan innocent. Dehua didn't give up, continuing to investigate Chen Yiyan until half a year ago. Dehua found Ha-Fa in London. Under Dehua's persistent questioning, Ha-Fa admitted initially embezzling funds for Chen Yiyan. They met at a high society party. Chen Yiyan spent lavishly and deceived Ha-Fa with just a few words. Initially, Ha-Fa only invested a few million US dollars and ended up doubling his profit. When the two had built mutual trust, Ha-Fa's investment amounts grew larger. No matter how much Ha-Fa invested, he always got back multiple returns. As the business grew, Ha-Fa also began taking bribes, constantly helping Chen Yiyan get loans. By then, Chen Yiyan was an international-level pawn, with countless financiers behind him. Of course, Ha-Fa didn't know who these people were. As for the meeting with Tan Jinxiao, the financier was actually impersonated by Ha-Fa. The scariest thing Ha-Fa felt about Chen Yiyan was that whoever offended him, someone else would take action, without him having to show his face. Tan Jinxiao was definitely killed, and one was also murdered by certain people. Ha-Fa said all this, not wanting to return to Hong Kong for fear of death. Seeing the situation, Dehua couldn't force him. Not long after, Dehua received news that the judge who had released Chen Yiyan earlier died in a car accident in his hometown. In 1988, several senior American bank executives were arrested for accepting illegal bribes. Previously, they had all accepted bribes from Chen Yiyan before agreeing to loan money to Zhao & Company. Dehua used this to sue Chen Yiyan. This time, Dehua had FBI evidence in hand, seemingly assured of victory. Unexpectedly, the judge's wife had bought 1,000 shares of Chen Yiyan's stocks even years ago. Chen Yiyan's lawyer raised the question off the judge having a conflict of interest, and the judge ultimately, to avoid suspicion, chose to withdraw from the judgment. Chen Yiyan was released on bail. Dehua could only pin his hopes on Ha-Fa, but he absolutely refused to return to Hong Kong to testify. Dehua didn't give up, continuing to investigate for over 10 years. Over these years, Chen Yiyan's case litigation costs alone exceeded 2 billion Hong Kong dollars. Investigation costs also exceeded 1 billion. Chen Yiyan didn't understand what Dehua was persisting in. Chen Yiyan invited Dehua to his presidential suite, trying to persuade him. But Dehua's attitude was firm, determined to arrest Chen Yiyan. Actually, at this point in the film, I see the shadows of Gao Kikian Gandon Xian in Chen Yiyan and Dehua. Dehua's persistence truly touched people's hearts deeply. Dehua pursuing him for so many years, Chen Yiyan could be said to have accompanied him all those years. Until 1996, 1 year before Hong Kong's handover, Chen Yiyan suddenly pleaded guilty. The reason he pleaded guilty, we don't know. In any case, it was quite sudden. In the end, Chen Yiyan, who defrauded hundreds of billions, was only sentenced to 3 years. As for his financiers, they never showed their faces even at the film's end. The film Goldfinger, a recently released Hong Kong crime film. Tony Leung and Andy Lau's act tinges beyond dispute. But regarding the plot, the first half is excellent. But in the second half, due to the screenwriter being limited by censorship requirements, there were some significant changes. Always feeling something was missing. And what's missing is precisely what cannot be said. Chen Yiyan has a very classic line in the film. He's merely a pawn used and then discarded. Chen Yiyan can neither die nor be arrested. He needs to carry these debts to bear the risks he should bear. Alright, today's video ends here. If you like my analysis, please leave a follow. Your support is our motivation to keep updating. Thank you everyone for your support. See you in the next film.